Welcome to the Nebraska Hawk's Nest. These guys are brave! They're Hawkeyes, living in enemy territory. Listen, these guys are way past their prime, but they're still Hawkeyes! They're spreading the Hawkeye hype to all of Nebraska. The frost advisory is canceled! Cornhuskers? More like corn suckers. Are you ready for this podcast? Let's go Hawks!
All right. Welcome back to the Nebraska Hawk's Nest. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button because, like we always like to say, how cool would it be to have the number one podcast in Nebraska be about the Hawkeyes? Today, we are joined by former Iowa Hawkeye fullback and current co-host of Washed Up Walk-Ons, Drake Kulick. How's it going, man?
I'm doing well, fellas. I'm happy to be here, and any opportunity I can get to shit on the University of Nebraska, their fans, their entire state. I'll take that opportunity.
God, I love that. This is gonna be a good interview. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, we're gonna have a little fun, fellas. I hope your listeners are not wimps because there may be some foul language.
Hey, that's okay. We don't have like a PG audience or anything like that, so it's kind of anything goes. So they've come.
We're gonna have some fun.
All right, awesome.
Drake,
Drake, go ahead.
Drake. No, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting here, but I want to get on that because the current players, yourself, the George Kittles, everybody's just kind of got that extra.
Did I just get compared with George Kittle?
Well, the hatred of Nebraska. I mean, it's like to hear you guys just come right out with that. I mean, is that a locker room? I mean, was that what came out of the locker room or the coaches? Or I mean, where does that the venomous side of that come from?
We love it.
It simply comes from how egotistical and narcissistic the entire University of Nebraska is, and like they truly believe man, no offense, but like the Mormon people, right? Mormons believe some crazy shit, and the University of Nebraska believes some crazy shit because they really think that they're still relevant off of success of 20 years ago to the point where they can come out and say disrespectful things about other programs like they have earned that right at all, which they haven't, because to be relevant, you have to win more than once every 2 decades. So, I mean, it's just like when you're that smug of a prick, you just simply need punched in the mouth. And we've punched them in the mouth a lot since I was playing at the Hawks and so forth.
I'm gonna have to we're gonna have to have you on like every month, man. This is freaking beautiful. It's like, oh man, you gotta watch. If you ever get a chance, you watch a little bit more of our podcasts. You fit in pretty damn nicely here. Wanted to talk to you about your recruitment process out of high school. Looked like you and I was on you pretty hot and heavy. Walk us through your decision-making process. What made you eventually become a Hawkeye, and what other schools were you really considering?
So first of all, I thought I was better than I was. That's what made me Hawkeye, first and foremost.
Okay.
It took getting to Iowa for me to realize how shit I actually was. Because in high school, in Muscatine, not to be stuck up, I was kind of that dude, just like everybody else who goes and plays for the Hawks at their high school. They're that dude, right? And I had some like respect from the 1AA schools, but it came down to the fact that Mark Farley treated me like shit in front of my parents and had disrespected me with his offer, right in front of my parents after all the hype that he'd been talking on me, on the phone to my dad, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not a person who handles disrespect very well, especially the presence of my family. And that was not going to be my coach. And right after that, I mean, it didn't even take getting back to Muscatine for me to have already decided I was going to Iowa. But then I went on a visit there because they had, the lowest level of interest you can have. Like, I was a walk-on, but they're still semi-interested. And I think they appreciated that they saw a kid on tape who was really going to be getting after people. And that just kind of was my nature. So they offered me the ability to play for their football team. And I was like, yeah, man, this is really close to home. My parents will be able to be at the games. Like, I've always loved the Hawks. Let's do it. Like, it wasn't a hard decision. There was no sleepless nights like some of these kids have. I hated. Oh, and also, who was the shitbag at Iowa State coach? And he got booted out. And he's Paul Rhodes. That shitbird also promised me a lot of stuff in front of my parents, and then ghosted me like an high school girlfriend. And I thought that was one of the most disrespectful things ever. And so I always loved pissing on those idiots, going all the way back to that hatred. But yeah, I was just always a Hawk. The Iowa program is built on grit, and I am grit. Like, that's just all I do. I don't have anything special to offer except for grit.
Well, that's what I was going to say is, like, Drake, guys like you are like the lifeblood of the program, whether it be a walk-on or scholarship player. It's guys like you that are going to come in. You have a chip on your shoulder and you feel like, you got something to prove. You're not afraid to hit somebody. You're not afraid to work your ass off, and you're not afraid to do those little things. And, it's guys like you that really are the fabric of what Iowa football is all about.
Yeah, I would agree. There was definitely there was a little bit of difference in the way that the disrespected players carried themselves. Like, I would say we had a little less fun at the beginning because we were really just like absolute nose to the grindstone. And yeah, I don't know. It was tough, but it was absolutely worth it.
Sure. Drake, how much, like Adam was just saying on all the points, how hard-nosed, how edgy you were, the attitude you took into the game. I got to assume it wasn't – take us through, like, your pregame preparation. And was there a chip, from that walk-on status? Take us through what it took for Drake Kulick to get ready for a game. And then even maybe take a little bit further. What was the tunnel walk like, and what goes through your head when you're heading out to Kinnick on game day?
All right, so what it took for me to get on the field was 3 years of truly grinding in the weight room and strength conditioning and earning my respect. Because if I wouldn't have earned the respect of the strength conditioning staff like I did, I wouldn't have had their backing, and I needed their backing. I think that they really talked me up to KF and got him to believe in me, because I wasn't very good when I got there. Like, I was better than I think they gave me credit for, but I still wasn't very good. And I wasn't ever going to see the field, but I had that backing. So those 3 years of grind is what got me to be able to even, have the tunnel walk that you're talking about. But the pregame routine, man, I was a big music guy. I did like my smelling salts. I had a nice bottle of nose torque that I got after a little bit. The equipment manager actually threw my bottle of nose torque away one time after I wrote on the bottle, Kulick 45, don't throw away. And it was in my locker, and he threw it away. So I didn't really like that very much. But yeah, a lot of music, a little nose torque, a little banging your head on shit to get yourself ready. That's it, man. I was a battering ram. I don't know. Like, I didn't have to think very much. I just had to run fast and hit hard.
I think one thing that a lot of people don't know about you is that you were multiple all-academic Big Ten. Now, tell us about how you approach things with, time management, with being a really successful student, and then also putting in that time to be a successful Big Ten football player.
Sorry, I had to clear my throat there. I had my mic muted. I didn't want to cough on you.
That's all right.
But I think I give a lot of credit to my parents because they really instilled education being important. And so there was not really an option of coming home with bad grades, because even if the coaches accepted it, even if I was academically eligible, my pops would be like, really, man, this is the best you can do. My pops was brilliant. I would put my old man up against any human on earth, to be honest. He was brilliant. And I think I got some good brains from him. I enjoyed what I was studying. I actually didn't know I was academic all the time. You just told me news that I didn't even know. But
yeah, 2 times.
Yeah, I would say that I enjoyed school more than most people. I thought what I was studying was reasonably cool.
You got to love a guy that can kick ass in the classroom and on the field, and that's that intelligent and likes to call people a shitbird. I mean, that's beautiful.
Yeah, man. To be honest, the only thing about me that people don't like is that I'm absolutely brutally honest. I will speak exactly what I think. And a lot of people in this day and age can't handle that, and that's okay. Those people just aren't for me. To each their own. And I'm always going to be honest to fault.
That's the funny thing, though, because that's what most Hawkeye fans like the most about you. And I think, and I'm hoping that society is going to start to flip a little bit here. And, that's one thing that's gotten you a lot of attention that you guys have gotten is you're so genuine and direct, and you don't really care what people think. And that's pretty damn refreshing with all the cancel culture and all the crap going on and the politically correct bull crap. You are very direct and unapologetic about it. I think, you could say that, that's caused a few haters your way. I think it's gained you a lot more supporters. Walk us through, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but this is a good segue here.
Right. To end your point right there, I will just end it with this question. Why die a liar?
Yeah.
Well, I've already got an image maybe for a reality show, because maybe we can take the 2 Muscatine guys, you and Joe Wieskamp. You've got the tattoos and tell it like it is. Much. I love him. And Joe's got the clean cut, crew cut. Maybe you two could share a loft in Muscatine for a summer. We could film it, and kind of like a reality odd,
like a Hawkeye reality show.
It's funny that the Wieskamps and I go way back. My dad was an orthopedic surgeon, and he sent his patients to Joe's dad, who was the rehabilitation specialist in Muscatine. And so my ties with Joe go way back, and yeah, we've got a great relationship. I love the kid to death, and I'm proud of him like a brother would be, to see the success. And he worked like an insane person, and it paid off. He's one of the best shooters in college basketball history. Nobody shoots 50%, but Joe Wieskamp did. And God damn, I'm proud of that kid.
So we wanted to play a little clip here of, I would say, one of the biggest plays in your career, which ended a drought for us. We're going to run this through and then talk about it real quick afterwards.
Score! They will not play down. They'll see if they can punch it in. They're not going to say they're so excited they're short. And they do.
All right. So for you guys that are listening on the podcast there, we played what I would call the game-winning touchdown of the Pinstripe Bowl with Drake ramming the ball up the middle. Got it on the second chance there. A dang fly flying around in here. And got to say, man, walk us through that play. That was a pretty awesome play. Walk us through your mindset on that, and how hard was it to break through? Because that Boston College D-line seemed to be pretty tough a lot of that game.
So the biggest shout out goes to Nate Weeding. That was his touchdown. I actually, to this day, feel shame that I scored it and he didn't, because he was the one who deserved it. So biggest shout out to Nate Weeding. But as soon as we saw the replay and he didn't score, I knew what the play call was going to be. I just didn't know who the coach wanted to run it. Because Brady Ross is also, to be honest, Brady Ross is a better football player than me in every aspect except for maybe just ball handling. Like just with the ball in hand, I may have been a smidge better. But that's the only thing that I might have been better than him at. But I think Brian kind of threw me the bone. It was my last game. I feel like he and I had a pretty good relationship, and he kind of had a "you've earned it" mentality towards me. So I don't know. He did a nice thing for me because he believed in me, and that was cool. The last thing that was said to me before I went on the field, KF said, "Just hold on to it." He said, "Don't drop it." And I promised him I wouldn't drop it. And here we are. It was hard to get in because the footing was beyond terrible. I know you guys have heard it a million times, but I'll just reiterate that it was the worst football field that any of us could have ever imagined playing a game on. I wouldn't have got in without James Butler because I didn't have footing. I was standing there. You can't push if you're trying to slide down a hill, an icy hill. You can't push yourself back up the hill, and that's what I felt like. But he just came up and smashed me in the back with some momentum, and I needed it. Here we are. We beat him. So,
Go ahead. I wanted to ask you real quick, Drake, before we moved on to there had been some, negative things said about Brian Ferentz. And I got to be honest with you, my experiences with him have been nothing but positive. He seems to be like an extremely classy, kind, well-spoken guy. And I think he does a hell of a job calling our offense. And I just wanted to get your feedback on what your relationship's been like with him and what it was like playing for Brian.
Yeah, man. Brian Ferentz is like a second father to me. There's few people on earth I really respect more than him. Can't overstate what he did for me. I could cry talking about Brian Ferentz and how much I care about him. So that pretty much says it all.
Who were some of the other coaches, Drake, that had the biggest influence on you while you were there?
I really appreciated Phil Parker because of the way he was. And people like Phil are the people I love the most. You're never going to change Phil Parker because he knows exactly what he's doing. And he's a true professional. He's a true leader of men. Really have a ton of respect for Phil. Obviously the head coach, but everybody praises the head coach. I'll save the praises on him because they're so heavy. But Coach Wallace and I had a great relationship. He felt more like a friend than a coach, to be honest. Obviously, I respected everything he said. I obeyed his orders. I played really hard for him. I tried to make his punt unit as sound as it could be. So we just had a great relationship. Love that guy. LeVar Woods, another guy that felt a little bit more like a friend than a coach around the building, just because of how respectful he was and how caring. And, the coaching staff is truly genuine. I could probably just go on about the whole staff, but I'll just stop there.
That's awesome. And, one of the other things we really wanted to talk about too was against Nebraska, you went out early in the game with a broken leg. And I don't know that too many players have ever had such an impact in a football game that weren't on the field. And the way that you impacted the fans, I could have ran through a wall for you on that day, my friend. I was fired up, going off the field. And we're going to play this here real quick. A little bit of, we're going to relive the injury here, and we're going to talk about that.
Play the whole thing. Play the whole 56
right.
seconds or whatever, dude. It's a fun video.
Well, they won't let. I don't. Jerry, did you get the actual injury on there, or?
Well, we had with the film clips. I didn't get the actual injury because there was a whole 3-4 minutes of dead air while they were tending to you on the field. So we'll
check this out. We're going to check this out real quick. We'll talk
for
about
them
it
so far this year. So there is Drake Kulick. They have placed a splint on his left leg and helping him to the cart. And that's tough to see, and we'll hope the best for the junior out of Muscatine, Iowa. And a tough way to start the game for the Hawkeyes for sure.
They need that fullback position in their offense. That's an integral part, not from a standpoint of carrying the football, but the blocking that they do sets a tone for the entire team.
Good sportsmanship there.
I think there's a lot of respect for these two programs from each other.
Replays on this a little graphic, so we're not going to show it to you for taste reasons. But certainly the Iowa fans here wishing Kulick well as he heads off the field.
Listen to that crowd get jacked up when he's going off the field and then coming back on the sideline, man. This walk us through how frustrating that might have been. And I read a quote from you that you were like, you know what? I thought a broken leg was going to hurt a lot more than that. Like a typical tough Iowa guy, just like, that it didn't hurt that bad. I'm all good.
So, like,
walk us through that a little bit, man.
When it happened, dude, it happened in my brain in slow motion. I know watching the film, the guy hit me and it was bam. I was bent over backwards. But in my head, I felt everything that happened in my ankle. And I was laying folded over, very curious, like obviously pain and like, yo, get off my leg. It's broke. I was very curious to see what it looked like because I had seen so many people break their legs and I was like, well, this is my moment. I have to see what this looks like from this perspective. Excuse me. Pull my leg over and just see that bitch sideways. And then it was frustration because in that exact moment, I saw what my future looked like. Like I knew looking down at my leg how bad this injury was. And injuries of that magnitude take a long time to rehab. And I was just like, I made it 4 years to the end of the season. Like we were about to be in bowl prep. And I wasn't going to have to do that much bowl prep because I was already having shoulder surgery that next offseason. So they were going to try and save my body a touch so that I could at least show up in fucking Gainesville, it felt like. Jeepers Christ. How many fans for Florida were in the Outback Bowl? It felt like we were in the swamp.
Yeah.
But I digress. Yeah, hopping up on the cart, first of all, man, I am still to this day irritated that Ike and Boone weren't willing to help me hop to the sideline because I swore that if they weren't taking me off on a spine board, I was never getting carted off. Like if I can feel my legs, I'm not getting carted off. And they wouldn't help me up, and the trainers would not let me not get on the cart. Didn't like that very much. But what was the rest of the question?
Well, about that quote, not little, but that quote you had on the sidelines. And I don't know if you remember it, but when you yell, or I don't know if you yelled before or when you came back that I didn't break my leg for nothing. And that's gone down as like, go ahead.
That was on the cart. That happened during the clip.
Right. Okay.
I slapped George Kittle's hand. Excuse me. I slapped George Kittle's hand, and he was like, dude, you're a psycho. That's what he said to me. Looked me in the eyes, and he's like, you're a psycho. And I pointed at my leg, and I was like, I did not break my leg for no shit. I was like, win this game. And then CJ came over, and he gave his condolences, slapped me on the hand, and I just noticed the stadium was quiet, and I was like, nah, like, listen, there's so many more important things happening right now in this stadium than my leg. Like, fuck my leg. This game needs to be won. Like, Nebraska can eat my nuts. My leg is so not important. Like, let's go, man. Let's get it cracking.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody notices either, but your tape on your wrist never quit. I don't know if that was just for that game or if that was for each game, but yeah, you did. They hauled you out from the cart. You were still ready to.
Yeah, I just sometimes wrote myself stuff like, I remember we had several seniors out for that game. And so I wrote some of their numbers on my tape just to kind of remember that. And like the never quit, I think that came from just like the hatred. Like you can't stop me. I mean, they stopped me because they broke my leg, but like I was really out for blood, and with like the never quit mentality. Yeah, I think that's probably why I put it on there. I didn't remember putting it on there, but it is on there. So
yeah, well, it's phenomenal. You know, living here in Nebraska at the time. I mean, you know, you've had some great highlights, but that really stands out to all of us Hawkeye fans on the side of Missouri. That like Adam said, that was just the pump up moment of that game. And I think I think Wadley ran for the touchdown. I think on one of the next series after that, I believe, or shortly after that. So it's got.
I know that when I came back out of the tunnel, was very shortly before Riley McCarron scored a long touchdown, and it was at that point where I was like, oh man, it's really going to be a party. And I was like, I'm glad I'm here for this, because they tried to make me go to the hospital. I'm like, listen, dog, my leg is not getting unbroke from me going to the hospital or me. I'm fucked, and I'm going to the sideline because this is what I live for. So, yeah.
Well, I think it's the Nebraska Hawks Nest. I think to help you live, to keep your memory in that game, I think we call it the Drake Kulick game from here on, because it just snowballed for that. They went downhill on the Huskers after that game, and Nebraska was actually, I believe, ranked in a better record that year. And you guys just steamrolled them after that.
Yeah, we smoked them after that point.
We got a tight-knit group of guys, and I mean, it's not like you can give players more motivation because we're all extremely motivated. But seeing one of your best friends, one of your brothers, get seriously hurt, and then but me maintain the positive attitude, I think they were like, oh man, like it is on.
Yeah,
they got it on, man. They did it for me. Yeah, I appreciate it.
No, you fired us up too, but I was like jacked up, and I think all the fans were fired up. It was just, it sucked seeing you get hurt. We were, pissed about that, but you couldn't have gone out in a better way, man. And so thank you for that. And you really just injected some energy into the team, into the stadium. And that's one of the things that you're going to be remembered for. Another that we really wanted to talk about, a year later, you were able to really, I would say, come back with a bang. The old Ohio State Buckeyes rolled into town. We're rocking some sweet, what they call the woodshed uniforms now. You were able to catch a touchdown in that game. How cool was that?
It was real cool. Everything about it, like the touchdown, I wouldn't even say was the coolest part of the night. It was a great cherry on top. Like that's exactly what I would have called my touchdown.
All right.
But like starting the game off 7-0 on the first play of the game, like I guarantee you, if you shot me up with ecstasy, it still would not touch what I felt right there. Like that was truly one of the most happiest moments in my life's history. I couldn't believe that was the way this was going to start. That place was going absolutely banana land. And like to experience that, it just right after kickoff was so sick. I had a particularly good play when I cut a defensive end and James Butler was able to cut back for a real long run. Like that made me feel better than the touchdown, because that happened at a much more pivotal time in the game. Like mine was a 1-yard nail in the coffin that could have gotten done with a QB sneak, with a dive, any number of things. So it was a great cherry on top. But like the real impact plays that I was able to be a part of during the game, those ones felt even better, because when that ball started rolling downhill, we just started playing better and better, and it was one of the greatest things to be a part of all time.
A lot of your teammates told us that they felt like at an early part of that game that the Buckeyes quit on that game, and that they felt they played defeated. What was the feeling out on the field, and how did you feel playing against Ohio State, and did you feel that as well?
I personally didn't feel it until late. It was real late. There was obviously a quick moment, but I think it was like we already stuck them in their heart. They're bleeding out all over the field. Like the body bags are already on the way to the crime scene. But that's when you quit. Like that's when Nebraska quits every year too. Like they come out of the tunnel playing the what is it? Dear Lord, have this day. Whatever. Better and better till we can't be beat, won't be beat, and the stadium, the fake sold out stadium goes wild, and they come out of the smoke like they're hyped, right? And they're ready to fight until the fight gets really bloody, and then they don't want to fight anymore. That was like the Ohio State quit moment, and we were talking the most shit. Me, James Daniels. I don't know if anybody else was, but me and James Daniels were talking the most shit to them. I was calling all of them scrubs. I was like, this one's onions, you pussies. Like, it was amazing.
I love that.
Oh, that's awesome. Who else can we get, Drake? I mean, this Nebraska Hate Club, I mean, who else are members of this? Did you guys have meetings during the season? And who else can we get to get some more of these Husker sound bites?
Thing, man.
So you're saying the team, yeah.
Yeah, and it was the so like we didn't hate Nebraska when like they came in the Big Ten, right? They got moved into the Big Ten, and we were just like, okay, you know, they're another opponent, right? It's just another opponent. And then they decided to put a fake trophy game on it, which is not a fake trophy game. You play for a trophy, the game's very important, but it's not like the old rusty bucket or the axe or the pig or the bull. Like, it's not like one of those, right? It's the Hy-Vee trophy game, whatever. It's cool and it's an important game, and we love beating those idiots. But when they made it the trophy game, and their AD was like, well, I mean, yeah, I don't know if you can call it a rivalry. Like, they have to have a little bit of success before you can really call it a rivalry. And this, that, and the other. And we think we're better than them, and we're Blue Buds, and we're Nebraska. Shut the fuck up, idiot. And that's what we played every year. Like, we saw them on the schedule. We knew Friday I about called it Friday the 13th because it was like a murder movie for them. But Black Friday, and we knew Black Friday was coming up every year. We were going to have a good Thanksgiving meal catered by the great folks at Gray's. I love you, Pete and Kim Harmon. Shout out to Gray's Restaurant. I'll always shout those people out. Those are the greatest human beings on earth. We got a great meal. And then we went out and we nuked them, man. It's what we did.
No, Jerry and I have proposed a new trophy to be replaced. It's called the Corn Belt, and it's actually a championship trophy with the Heroes Game logo on it that we have. I might have to run and get it so I can show it to you.
Shout out to the Corn Belt Cowboy, Steve Manders. If you're gonna make wrestling belt,
definitely.
If you're gonna make a wrestling belt, and I mean that's the guy to talk to right there.
Yeah, we want to have him on, and he said he's going to come on, but he's been super busy, and we want to get him that belt so we can wear it to the ring.
Yeah, man. I just watched a video somebody sent in the group chat. I don't have Twitter anymore. Somebody sent a Twitter video of Steve Manders getting smashed repeatedly over the head with a steel chair, and I know exactly what that feels like because I got really drunk one time at a party at our house. We were playing cornhole, and Josie and Jake Gervais were beating us, and I was real mad. And I started smashing my head with a chair. So, Steve, take it easy, pal.
Have you ever thought about dipping your toe in the pro wrestling pool?
No, I do a lot of jiu-jitsu now. I train jiu-jitsu every day. I train with awesome guys. It's a ton of fun. I'll get into competitive jiu-jitsu at some point. But I've got some things lined up in the future. Going to be moving around a little bit, doing some fun things. So not Steve Manders professional wrestling, unless here you go. If George Kittle gets into WWE after his football career and he gets extremely popular, he might pull my scrub ass out of the stands one day to come smack somebody with a chair. That might be my only appearance.
So Drake, taking this on then, I mean, you've had some great highlights like we've talked about, and going into the Washed Up Walk-Ons podcast, you know, you guys do a great job, listen to you regularly. You guys just replayed one recently about life after football and the struggles you went through when you left. And I don't want to steal any thunder. I would invite anybody to go out and check out that episode, as well as the Sean Welsh episode as well. Those were both really good. Kind of talked,
or the Brandon Bishop episode. That one was great too.
but kind of take us through life. You know, what was that struggle like when you left football? I mean, that's a big part of your identity when you leave, you know, and you're adjusting to life afterward. And, you know, kind of touch on that a little bit for us. And like I said, kind of tease, I guess, the episodes that you guys already did a great job on.
Yeah, man. So let me tease it like this, and I think your fans might head over to the podcast. My career died in an ugly way. My dad died in an ugly way. I spiraled into an absolute disaster. And if it weren't for my friends and family, I would be in a casket. So that is the teaser.
Yeah, it was a pretty powerful episode, and I enjoyed the heck out of it. I actually reached out to Tyler on message and told him how much I enjoyed it. But, you know, I think that's a part of the game that goes left unsaid, is just how much of a part of you guys this is. And what it's like then once you don't have that anymore. So it's a great episode. Invite the audience to go out and check it out when they get a chance. So,
you know, with your time doing the Washed Up Walk-Ons podcast, and like, you know, we talked about a lot earlier, one of our favorite parts about the show is how outspoken and direct and unfiltered you are. Tell us about if any lashback or angry fans reaching out at you, venting frustrations about how, you know, things that you have said on the show or anything like that may have upset anybody.
Yeah, so when I had a Twitter, it was very, very healthy for me and for the people around me for me to get rid of my Twitter. It was a great idea. It was pressured by Kevin and Tyler, and I just kind of obliged one day after I got into a war with somebody, and I was willing to go to blood, and I took it halfway to blood, just absolutely destroying his religion with a meme. So it was time for me to go on Twitter, and after that point, I have never seen any backlash except for what has maybe been brought up on the podcast by Tyler. And like, I'm just in a really great, healthy mental place because of that, because nobody on the outside can enter my life. They have no access to me, my thoughts, my emotions, or my life. And that's a pretty healthy way for me to live personally, because if I do allow somebody to start the engine, like, it's not really something that you unstop. I'm like a buzzsaw that doesn't turn off if you start it. So it was good for me to get out of that.
That sounds like a good decision, and that stuff can be toxic sometimes, and you just got to turn around and walk away from it. And, you know, it pulls you in, and you're in too deep, and you don't realize how toxic it is until you actually get out of it. Go ahead, Jerry.
No, and, you know, go ahead.
Twitter's the most toxic place in the entire world. It is single-handedly, well, maybe not single-handedly, but very, very strongly destroying the minds of everybody, just putting everybody in an echo chamber, making them think that they are right and their views are the only thing that matters. Nobody has perspective anymore. Nobody can think with an open mind. Everybody has the most fragile ego of all time, cannot take any criticism. The American people are getting so pathetically weak that that's why I just had to completely remove myself from even being in their environment, because I simply can't take the weakness.
Sure. And so moving on then, Drake, who are, you know, as you guys move forward on, what's the future of the Washed Up Walk-Ons podcast? You know, who are some of your dream interviews you'd like to see on there? And, you know, what do you guys got planned moving forward?
I don't know if I necessarily have dream interviews. There's certain, like maybe Bob Sanders. Like, I just would love to talk to Bob Sanders, because what our podcast is, man, is a 2 times a week hangout with some best friends talking about all the things that we want to talk about, and then getting the opportunity to have like real, true conversations with people we've always wanted to have conversations with, or just rekindling friendships through our podcast with teammates that we unfortunately don't get to see anymore. So Like, the podcast is just an amazing way for us to stay close to each other. And then we post it, and people enjoy listening to our conversation. And if you don't like listening to our conversation, that's fine, dude. Just leave. You don't have to be so fucking mad that I cursed and I made fun of a couple people. Just turn it off. It doesn't matter. It doesn't hurt my feelings. I don't make a single dime off the podcast. And I have the conversation that I have with my friends just like I would have it anywhere else. And people enjoy listening to it.
Now, when we asked this question to Tyler, he had a freaking amazing answer. And we were really excited to ask, we lost him there. Want to see it? We'll give him a minute if he wants to jump back on it. Yeah, we can.
I think he was doing it on his phone, and he had a button that he might have hit accidentally. Not that anybody else has ever done that either. So
no, I know how that goes. It happens. There he is. Hold on, he's coming right back in. There he is.
Boys, I don't know what just happened. My email just popped up, and you guys left the screen.
Well, you just told us that you said if you don't like what's going on, just turn it off. We figured you just didn't like what was going on and you left.
Oh, that was actually perfect timing. Damn, I shouldn't have even explained myself, and I should have just let that be an awesome drop.
Oh man, that would have killed me. I'd be like, man, he went out in the coolest way ever, but that was such a put down on us.
Don't feel bad. I like to hang up on Adam all the time too. So
that's all
y'all
good,
were in
Jerry.
the middle of a question though, and I'm about to go get I can hear you in my headphones. I'm about to go get my phone charger so it doesn't die. But go to the question.
Okay. All right. So the one thing we really wanted to ask you about, and we talked to Tyler about this, and he had a freaking phenomenal answer, probably still the best one that we've had to this. But that's
because he talks so damn much that he just has so many words in his mouth that are already ready to be shot out. Like, he has a mouth machine gun, and so of course he said something ridiculous.
We wanted to ask you though, like more than anybody, because we were like, okay, Drake's gonna have like the best answer. We're like one, if not multiples. Like whether it be
I can't let y'all down.
I know. I hate to put you on the spot here too, but on the practice field, the weight room, locker room, anything, we know that there's some crazy, wild behind the scenes things that happen that the general public, the average fan, like Jerry and myself, we don't get to witness. What's something that you kind of look back on during your time now and you just think, God, that was freaking ridiculous, or that was wild, or I can't believe something like that happened. That was super, super nuts.
Man. I had an answer ready for you, but then you said super nuts. I don't know about super nuts.
Well, just give us the answer you were thinking.
Okay.
And that might spark some other ideas too. Some guys talk about fights in practice. Tyler told us about a guy sitting in the computer lab naked, doing his homework, that was connected to the locker room.
Oh, yeah. Okay, here's one that you guys will enjoy. After we beat Ohio State, everybody stormed the field, and I decided to go find my way up into the stands and just soak up the moment, because the stands were damn near empty. And I was just like, man, this is one of the coolest moments that I'll ever experience in my entire life. Like, I want to see it from every angle. And as I was exiting the stands, I hopped over the fence, and I saw a particularly poor soul that, when making the same hop over the barrier that I just made, did it in a less graceful manner, and they were laying on a stretcher with a Drake Kulick ankle. And I just looked at the guy, and I was like, damn, bud, have a good one. I was like, take care of yourself. And I headed up the tunnel to go celebrate. That was a fun story. Another fun story, when I maxed out, like I explained earlier, game days, sometimes in the weight room, I like to have a little smelling salts available. And I had them in a Dasani bottle, and I had taped over the bottle so you couldn't see what was in it. And I had it down by the rack, and I'm about to do a max out squat. I go over, sniff the bottle, eyes wide open, go into the squat rack, do my set. And as I re-rack the bar, The coach hands me my card back, doesn't say anything, just like nods, and then he goes over, picks up the bottle, smells it, looks back at me, doesn't say anything, and just like he couldn't believe that I had brought smelling salt in a Dasani bottle. I don't know. Those are just some fun stories. I don't know if I have. There are wild stories that I'm not willing to share because some things just need to be private. But I don't know. I feel like those stories were kind of fun.
Yeah.
There's got to be a good practical joke story with Drake Kulick that can be shared, because there's got to be there had to have been a multitude that you could at least find one, right?
Okay. This wasn't even a practical joke. It was Kluver decided to cheat off me on a test when I studied hard as hell for it. And when we were coming back home, he was bragging to Kevin about how he cheated off me. And Kevin and I were talking about how difficult the test was. I was like, how hard did Kluver think he was? He's like, dude, he cheated off you. He's like, I walked into the house and I just picked up a trash can and smashed him in the head with a trash can. And I just left the house. That was it. Walked in, said no words, hit him in the head with a trash can, and walked out.
We were told that we should ask you, what is the most odd or interesting thing you ever wore downtown in Iowa City?
Oh, that's a bullshit question. Somebody set me up.
I'm not saying it was an anonymous fan submission we got emailed to us today, and we couldn't find out who it was, but they said to ask Drake what was the weirdest or wildest thing he wore in downtown Iowa City.
Yeah, I just got set up. But okay, so I lost my fantasy football league. I'm not proud of it. I had a ton of injuries. You guys don't need to hear the sob stories. It is what it is. I was the biggest loser, and the bet was that one night when we were all going to go downtown together, I had to wear a kilt and a wife beater, and on the wife beater it had to say like fantasy football loser, I suck at fantasy, the fun stuff. And okay. we had a crawfish boil at Jake Gervais's house. It was kind of a thing where once we graduated, it used to be at Benton Street at my place with Ike and Bo and Josie, and everybody just came over and we had big pots and stuff. Shout out to the Paulson brothers. And that night we had the crawfish boil at Gervais's, wore it over there. Everybody was looking at my gooch, and then we went downtown and we got it on, man. We had a good time. We got a little rowdy, and I was wearing a kilt and a wife beater.
I gotta say, you're probably like one of the few guys that could just pull that off, because you don't seem like you could give two craps. You should be like, whatever, man. Yeah, I'm wearing a kilt. What of it?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the bar was going to let me in because they wanted my money.
Yeah.
Nobody was going to fight me because I had a kilt and a wife beater on, because if they had problems, then we were going to have problems. And I don't have a third, but yeah, I did there.
Now, with your training and everything that you have going on right now, you recently got to work out with former Hawkeye legend Kevin Cassper. Can you tell us a little bit about how that went?
Not well. You want the long story, or you?
Whatever you want to tell. You tell us, man. I want the full thing.
Cassper is an anomaly of a human being. That is by far the fittest person I've ever seen with my own two eyes. The way because I work hard, man. Like, I keep myself in good shape. I train hard. I get complimented on my training, and I go to train with Kevin Cassper, and I got mutilated, dude. I was bent over praying and throwing up water in his yard, and he was not even fazed by the workout, to the point where he just picked the phone up, started videotaping so that he could send it to Coach Woods and be like, look what I did to the kid. Like, it was so bad. And then we kept working out, man. And that guy doesn't stop. He's a freak. And we just had a podcast with him, and we released it, and it was a lot of fun.
Oh, I listened to it today, and I gotta say it was one of my favorites that you guys have done. And he's passed that freakishness down to his kids, because I don't know, I'm sure you saw the video of his son dunking a basketball hoop, looked like it was an 8-foot hoop, the way he was pounding the hell out of that thing.
Yep.
Oh man,
I really hope he ends up as a Hawk. He grew up a Hawk. That's all I can say. I don't know if that's going to make his decision. I think the kid should choose exactly what's best for him, as should everybody. But I know that the Hawks are in his nature, like in his DNA is Iowa. So we'll see.
You know, just to give a frame of reference, though, too, Drake, I think it was the Sean Welsh interview also that you guys did. You were talking about the workouts you had at Iowa, and basically, I think one of them you mentioned, you said your body just plain forgot to even throw up until 30 minutes after you were done and you'd already showered. And so, I mean, it wasn't like you haven't been through the grind before. I mean, so this workout was
this was harder than that, dude. This Kevin Cassper workout was significantly more ridiculous than any cardiovascular workout we did at Iowa. Like, this was not a workout to make you fail your repetitions, like, from weight. This was making me fail because my body couldn't work anymore. Like, it was ridiculous, man. And this guy was laughing through it. That's how pathetic I am.
Yeah, well, he is the freaking man, and we sure hope his son ends up at Iowa. But Drake, man, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule out there. And I believe you're in Arizona, right?
Yeah, man.
Yep. All right, man. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule, and a genuine thank you from all the Hawk fans for the hard work you put in as a Hawkeye and all the great memories you produced and all the fun and interesting content you guys have done on Washed Up Walk-Ons.
Rock on. We appreciate the support. Yeah, I enjoyed our conversation, man. Any opportunity to talk to some genuine dudes and talk a little trash, I'll take my opportunities, man. Appreciate you guys having me on.
I botched the hell out of a lot of this. I was so jacked to talk to you and so fired up with some of your answers. I'm just talking over Jerry every time he's wanting to ask a question. I'm like, wait, I got something else I want to ask him.
Well, if anybody's got anything else, I got time. So if you guys got something on your chest, go ahead.
Well, we may be asking for a return visit down the road, man. Maybe I'm smelling maybe a Black Friday visit, maybe before the Husker game.
Don't have me on Black Friday. I'll be all sorts and twisted. I'll be saying crazy shit. You guys will get blocked.
No, man, Jerry, book him. Let's do it right now. We were going to have you on the week of the Iowa-Nebraska game, and we want to show you the Corn Belt, the championship trophy we're trying to get pushed. The thing's legit. It's like an 8-pound championship belt that we had made. It's pretty awesome. So we'd like to show it to you and get your perspective on the upcoming game. But man, we had a freaking blast talking to you, Drake. Thanks for taking time, and go Hawks, man.
Rock on, fellas. Go Hawks. Hawks by a million.
Yeah.
Take care.